Tomorrow marks the 12th anniversary of the horrific shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut. The anniversary comes days after a judge blocked the sale of Alex Jones' Infowars platform to the satirical news outlet The Onion. The forced sale coming after Jones was ordered to pay nearly $1.5 billion to Sandy Hook families in a defamation case for calling the shooting a hoax. Joining us now is Robbie Parker, who lost his 6-year-old daughter Emilie in the shooting and testified at Alex Jones' damages trial. Parker is the author of the new book, A Father's Fight, Taking on Alex Jones and Reclaiming the Truth about Sandy Hook. Robbie, thank you very much for joining us today. You had initially celebrated the sale. Now it seems like it might not happen. What's your reaction to the Texas judge's decision in this case?
I mean, obviously a lot of disappointment, right? We know that we're on good legal standing with everything that happened, and he agreed that we were and that there wasn't anything wrong that happened in the sale. So it's just a setback, really. Jones can try and claim victory here, but at the end of the day, his Infowars business is still going to be sold, and we're still confident that things are going to work out in our favor. So it's a setback. Dealing with Jones means you deal with lots of setbacks. We're used to it. We did it for 4 years litigating the case, and we prevailed. So it will prevail again.
Big picture here, 12 years on, can you talk about how Alex Jones and Infowars affected you and your family? You were one of the main litigants in this case.
Yeah, I mean, Jones unfortunately became almost synonymous with the Sandy Hook tragedy because of the lies and vitriol that he shared with his listeners, and who then in turn decided that it was right for them to attack me and other Sandy Hook families within a day after the shooting. So I started my grief journey, and immediately Alex Jones and his hate and lies became part of my grief journey as well, and it complicated that a lot.
Now, what happens next in this case? I mean, what is your hope for what direction this goes in? It sounds like you're fairly confident that the bid from The Onion, which, to be clear, was going to include significant investment from a gun safety group as well as a sponsoring advertiser, that would go through. Do you think that they're still going to be able to make that purchase?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly. I have a very good team of lawyers, and they're working really hard to try and figure out what it is exactly that the judge needs out of this. And so I'm kind of out of the loop on specific details, so I'll leave that to them. These are people who care about the truth, they care about us, and they care about doing what's right. And so we have all that on our side.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about gun safety in this country. The Bipartisan Safer Communities Act was passed now a couple of years ago by Congress, spearheaded by Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy, again with a number of Republicans. Do you think that went far enough? That was the most major kind of gun control to come out since that deadly day 12 years ago. Talk a little bit about how you think the status of gun control laws are in this country.
Yeah, I mean, that was great work by everybody that was involved in that. Of course, it didn't go far enough. There's not ever going to be one thing that's going to go far enough to solve all the problems that we face with this. And so we'll just have to keep tackling anything that we need to do. And whether your passion's in school safety, it's in mental health, if it's gun control or protecting gun rights, there's a way that all of us can come together and we can put our heads together and solve a lot of problems if we're willing to do the really hard work. And that's what's going to have to happen. And we don't have to wait for all the leaders in Washington. There's things that you and I and everybody else can be doing to make things better and safer.
Tough for me to ask this, Robbie, but Emilie, your daughter, would now be 18 years old. She was 6 at the time. What do you want people to remember about Emilie?
You know, in writing this book and talking about, it talks about Alex Jones and it talks about conspiracy theories, but really the heart and soul of it is about Emilie and what she brought into the world. And she loved hard, and she knew how to take what she was feeling inside and share that with you. And that's the thing I miss about her the most, is that's something I really struggle with. I have a hard time understanding my emotions, how to articulate them, how to share them with people that I love. And she was amazing at that at 6 years old. And so that's who she was. She loved hard. She knew who she was. She shared that with people, and she lived an amazing, beautiful life.
Can you reflect a little bit more on what it's meant to write this book and what it's meant to, engage in this long, drawn-out lawsuit with Alex Jones?
Yeah, I mean, the idea that at the very worst moment in any parent's life, but especially in my life, right, I'm already dealing with my world being completely blown apart. And then you have somebody like Alex Jones that comes in and then he starts just messing around in there. And he defiled Emilie's name. He defiled her memory. He attacked me. He sent people to attack me. So you lose a lot in that process. And in order for me to protect my family, I felt like I needed to hide and I needed to get away. In doing so, I sacrificed my voice, I sacrificed my power, and let him control the narrative for a long time. So joining the lawsuit and eventually writing this book was a way of me gaining that power back, getting my voice back, and then realizing in doing so, I found healing and sharing it so other people can find healing in their lives with the hardest thing that they're dealing with.
I'm curious for your take. One of the biggest other bidders, besides from, of course, the Onion in the case of trying to purchase Infowars, was a group that has close ties with Alex Jones. Are you concerned that that empire could end up back in his hands?
Yeah, that's a huge concern because the whole point of doing this lawsuit and everything was to make it as hard as possible for Alex Jones to spread the hate and lies that he spreads, right? There's plenty of victims of Alex Jones, just not Sandy Hook families, even listeners of Alex Jones. He creates these problems, then he gets himself in $1 billion of debt for defamation. Then he uses his listeners to try and help bail him out, right? So they enable him and they're victims too. So we don't want him to be able to continue what he does unobstructed. And so that's why Sandy Hook families, the Connecticut families in this lawsuit, were willing to sacrifice so much to be able to ensure that that didn't happen.
We'll continue to watch your story very closely. Obviously, developments in this case, being watched as they come out day by day. Robbie Parker, thank you so much for joining us here on Scripps.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.